online. And tonight is our bonus luxury mix. We're making up for the month where we had a late luxury mix with just a special episode featuring Zoroarkfilms, who is a, you could say, professional vaporwave curator, fellow professional. Has released 2 compilations so far, one of which has made it to vinyl. It's upcoming on CD. So that's how you know you made it. I'm only on cassette. This guy's already on vinyl. And he's also got some other projects on the side, one of which is a podcast. Things are actually starting to look really similar here. But don't fear, because they've got one more project. So why don't you let us know what your recent endeavors have been?
Well, hey, it's everyone here. Welcome, welcome. My name's Zoro. And yeah, I professional compilation maker, if you like to say that, and have a podcast. And I also just recently, by recently I mean yesterday, started a whole new label. I like to keep busy. It is called Tropical Toucan Records. You can check.
Do you?
Oh, I got cut out.
It's all okay.
Right. Okay, keep going. My apologies.
All right, we're having a little connection issue here, but should be settled.
Yeah. Looks like my headphones are messing up, but
okay, we can hear you.
That's good to hear. Yeah, it's called Tropical Toucan Records. I just started it yesterday. There's no releases yet, but you can check it out on Twitter as well if you're interested in a cool new label as well. That's me.
And the mix we have tonight that you've prepared is mostly Is it all tracks from your compilations, or mostly?
It is. It is all tracks from my compilations.
So it's a compilation. Compilation.
It's a compilation of compilations.
All right. Yeah, the 2 compilations were Night Beach .mp3, and which is released on Retrac Records, and then you've got Rain, which was on ATMO. And I didn't actually try translating the characters at the end of that. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, it's Rain, and then it should be Forest in Japanese if it isn't bad to translate it. It's meant to be like a jungle type theme. I kind of went with the Japanese, but
yeah, and I've got plenty of questions to ask you about both these compilations, but it might be best to just get into the music soon. So how about you introduce this first track you picked?
All right, yeah, I love this track. The first track, I always make sure to show this one off because I love the artist in a track. It is by Second Sight, who's this great ambient slush wave musician, and they made this track. It was like the day I first started this, like in March, and they just like pop out with this track, and it's like just this beautiful ambient experience of a 6-minute track. It's called A Piece of Me.
All right, let's give it a listen.
here thinking about all the things I wanted to apologize to you for. All the pain we caused each other. Everything I put on you. Everything I needed you to be, I needed you to say. I'll always love you because we work together. And who I am. I just wanted you to know that there'll be a piece of you and me always. And I'm grateful for that. Whatever someone you become, wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you love. You're my friend to the end. Love, Tito. Send.
After Dusk Television taking us to the beach at 7 p.m. all alone.
Yeah.
And just reverse what I said there, and that's the title of the track. And that was, both those tracks were from the Night Beach compilation. You're not going to get a good variety of album art here, I'm sorry. if that's your favorite part of the show. But I did for any albums or any songs that were on albums other than your compilations, like if they were pulled in from something, I actually did put that art in there just to put a little splash of variety in the the visuals for tonight. But yes, if you see a song in this playlist, it's probably from one of those 2 compilations, and you can find it there along with everything else. But up next, we have a track from iClick, more Night Beach stuff. And we're starting to get to some bigger names here with iClick and Donor Lens. So why don't you tell us how you got started working with them?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, me and iClick, if you don't know who iClick are, it's the duo of Will and Enrail, the big old Enrail man. And yeah, I've been like good friends with them like since day one. They've been really nice. And Enrail's, this awesome artist who makes just like the greatest music ever. And they're like, hey, how about we make a track? And then they send in this kind of signal wave type of a beachy vibe. And it's so like mysterious in its way. Like iClick are so awesome. Yeah.
And then Donor Lens.
Donor Lens, yeah. That's awesome, having Donor Lens. Is it Donor? I always say Donor. I feel bad.
I believe it's Donor Lens because they say it in the start of some of their songs. That's my guess.
I feel really bad. I feel like I've said the name wrong, but yeah, actually, I actually met with Donor Lens and reason we got the track. Actually, it was a while back. I almost forgot about this when like I started the whole rain thing. Just like not even started. It was just an idea. I had like a vote. Like, what should my next idea be? And like it was either lounge or like the jungle that I went with. And then Donner Lens comes in the reply and says, "Oh, we have a track that features both of them." Like brag. Like it's not like a brag. It's like,
lounge and
so
the
cool. I mean, they are cool. It's supposed to be like an interlude on the main album, but then Runners Club kind of like diverts it in between the kind of lounge vibes, like a jungle feel in the lounge. So it's not like a Donner Lens track as much as it's a Runners Club track.
Yeah, I think that's such a vaporwave thing to do, to take like an interlude on a track and stretch it out to like a 4-minute full song too. So it's like a very meta song
it's
there.
Very meta, yeah.
So
yeah, and actually the way I got the track on was through my podcast, because we actually did a podcast Donner Lens, which hopefully will be up soon. But yeah, we did that a while back, and like, hey, want to do a track? And so
oh wow,
it was just really awesome hanging out with them. Donner Lens are really awesome people, both of them.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about them. So we're going to give both these tracks a listen now, starting with Soft Clay on a Purple Moon. That was the muted, loungy synths of Donor Lens, remixed a little by Runners Club 95 with Delete Time. And just for this next section here, I kind of wanted to ask how you kind of got started as just a Vaporwave fan and pretty quickly launched into this whole compilation thing and started working with labels and artists and stuff, which is one of the benefits of having that people talk about Vaporwave all the time, is that it's so easy to just launch into something and people are always so willing to work with you no matter who you are. But I just want to hear your story of how that got started for you and how you transitioned from fan to creator.
Yeah, I love telling the story. I did start out like my first month of being on Twitter. The same month I kind of, figured out what Vaporwave was, and I started collecting tapes. And I think the whole idea, it's kind of like foggy, but the whole idea of like, let's make a compilation with a theme, I think it came up like randomly. I was like, hey, it's the middle of the summer. What if I just like downloaded a bunch of tracks of like the best songs that represent the beach, like, summertime beach, and then down the mall, and then make like the perfect beach mix. And like in this old group chat, like, hey, send me tracks, and so they direct me towards St. Pepsi and like Channel Select. I still listen to Channel Select. Actually, I love that album. But directed me towards all these albums, and I'm like, can I release this? And I'm like, no, you can't release it without credit, or you can, but it's a little different. And so I'm like, well, what about if we do this a little differently? And that's kind of how the whole idea formed. The beach kind of turned into a night beach, and then it kind of just like happened. Like I had all these great friends who supported me, and we got like 6 tracks of people who were like, what about this? And what about this? And people started making tracks, and I started talking to people. And it kind of blew up from there.
Yeah, and that was kind of a huge leap to go straight into a record with that too. So how did you make that decision?
You mean my record? You mean like vinyl, or like
Yeah,
a full album?
make the vinyl.
The vinyl? That's a great question. Yeah, I was talking to in the same old group chat actually. I made a lot of great friends through there. Actually, it was fun. But good friend Reverse Reverence, kind of just hanging out in the chat, and I had the album kind of in the idea. I wasn't done, and I'm like, what if we just kind of do it? I kind of said to myself, right, that'll be fun. And I was like, debating with myself, could we sell 50 copies of a vinyl? I was like, maybe we won't. We won't sell like 25. That was the thought. And I kind of just talked them over at Retrac, because Retrac's this just great label that does vinyl now, and they're awesome at it. But like, yeah, I think this sounds cool. We pre-order it, we give the digital and see what happens. And then the day of the vinyl pre-order happens, and we sell all 50 copies in like 12 hours. It's crazy.
Wow. And did you think about seeing if you could increase the number since it sold out so fast, or were you just happy with 50?
I think we were gonna go with 50 beforehand, but we didn't know it was gonna sell out that fast, honestly. But there might be a repress soon if there's enough people that really feel like they need it. We might do another repress, maybe like a purple or an orange, maybe a different color than the blue.
Sounds pretty cool. Orange would kind of be like a sunset color. That'd be interesting, like a neat image there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of sunset in some of the vinyl art as well.
Yeah, and speaking of you getting started on Twitter, you actually were the winner of the second ever Luxury Aesthetics giveaway. I think it was, oh my gosh, was it for 250 followers? Groove Remote.
Groove Remote.
Yeah, that is a super exclusive tape. Only 3 were made, and yeah, you're the owner of one of them. And it's
the rarest thing in my collection.
Yeah, I would still say it's probably it's probably one of the best sounding like mixes that I've heard, just because not even the track selection is great, but just because of how it was done with Groove Remote hand selecting the tracks from his physical collection and recording off his cassette deck and off his record player, all the everything through his whole setup. And so you get that extra sound of his physical audio pipeline coming through on the whole tape, and it's just got this, and he's kind of EQ'd it a little bit and just adjusted everything to make it just sound as good as possible. And if if you're now sitting there listening to this and feeling like you missed out, you can actually find that mix on the old Luxury Aesthetics archive, which I believe is linked in the description of all these videos. So if you just go check out back there and find the Luxury Mix Groove Remote, you can hear all the original audio, but you have to listen to Groove Remote talking. So that's I think it's interesting, but he went through all that work. You should listen to what he has to say about it as well. Zoro's the only person who gets to just listen to the full mix on his own.
Yeah, it's quite a listen. It really is. It's amazing. I think it was definitely my first introduction to a few of the smaller artists, but also a few of the bigger artists. Because when I started out Vaporwave, I didn't really listen to many of the big names. Actually, I started out with 3D Blast and Gentleman Lounge Dining Cult, which are not big names but great names. And so it was my first introduction to Luxury Elite and I believe my first introduction to Nothing might be my first Telepath track I even listened to too. It's really great to hear those noises for the first time.
I'm glad that you got so much out of that tape, and I hope a lot of other people got some new experiences from listening to that. Anyway, we have to get back to the music now with Platform, and
I think it's Platform, yeah.
Yeah, we got Platform and Commodore 64 coming up here. Its first track is called Mala. Welcome back. That was Forest Kids by Commodore 64, who was actually released that same track on another compilation called Vaporwave 3 back in 2018, but I'm not going to subtract any points for reusing. And I actually thought that was like...
Actually, sorry, I think it's actually Forest Kids, and the track name's Commodore 64.
Oh, really? Did I get it backwards?
That backwards. Yeah, the artist's name is Forest Kids.
All right, I'll fix that later. But
sorry, no worries.
I was going to say, there's already Princess Commodore 64, and I was confused by the fact that there was a Commodore 64. Anyway.
Got rid of the princess, you know.
Yeah. But up next, we have a name that I'm definitely not going to confuse with the track. We've got a hero who, it seems, created this track that's a sequel to something from Spirit. It's a track from Spirit called Odyssey. So... did he create this track just for you, or is this like him releasing a single early on your compilation? How did this come about?
That's a great question. Like the very first week I started the Rainforest project, the same week I actually had a podcast with a hero, which is, I'm pretty sure it is up. You can listen to, and I love his music. I'm such a big fan. I bought the Spirit vinyl, so it was great to talk to him. I'm like, hey, would you be interested in this? And it was, all the artists I've talked to have been super nice. So he's like, hey, yeah, I got something. So it looks like, for what I know though, Odyssey 2 is just, it's like an unreleased track actually, which is even crazier. I think, it was supposed to be on maybe Spirit possibly, and, it didn't fit, sequel on the same album. So it was like, hey, he threw it over to me. And I think it sounds great. It's awesome. It's Odyssey 2 though. If you've listened to the Odyssey that's on Spirit, you'll get the same experience, kind of.
So what I'm hearing though is that you've been making connections really well through your podcast, and that's kind of what helped you get some bigger names on these compilations.
Yeah, it does seem so when you look at it that, I kind of talk to these artists on the podcast, and it feels like, I'm like, I'm on the podcast not because I want to talk to you, because I want to steal your tracks and use them in my compilation. They're just really good people, and I like their music, and it's like a good coincidence.
Yeah.
I talk to these people on the podcast still, and they're very nice enough to be able to have tracks,
Yeah, and excited to play this one here because I'm also a pretty big fan of a hero, especially Spirit. I think that's definitely his best, or it's my favorite one of his albums. You could really argue between Ultima Flux and stuff. Yeah, what his best is. Depends on what you like. But I'm a fan of this synth poppy stuff. So here we go, Odyssey 2. Going.
Okay.
All right, that was the Soundscape Tribe by Penthouse Suite, and it is as Zoro will tell you, it's a great track to get hyped up to. Just a great ambient jungle thing, but what we've got next here is actually going to come out of the jungle and the rain a little bit with some tracks that are yet to be heard by the majority of people. They're unreleased. So why don't you give us an introduction to these two mysterious pieces you've got here?
I will. We have some special stuff I'm going to cook up here, so you're not hearing all the normal stuff you've heard from Night Beach or Rain if you're a fan. And so the first thing we have is it's an unreleased track. It's not really unreleased. It's kind of a bonus track, actually, that was cut off of the original release for time constraints, but it will be included as a tape exclusive and a CD exclusive. So don't worry, you'll be able to hear it other times. And it's by Generation X. I believe I'm saying that right. And then the second track is even more special. The track is called Mage Stick by an unknown artist. It's not unknown, but I'm going to leave you guys trying to guess who it is. But it is from the new, currently in progress mix called Spooky that you've probably seen me tweet about a couple times. And it is a really scary track. I'm not gonna say. And you'll also be seeing what is most likely the official album art as well. So you probably get hyped for that.
So we've got some secret music, some secret artwork, all about to be revealed. And also the Generation X artwork is not official. That's just something I made. So
it's just cool artwork.
Yeah, I edited the Night Beach thing a little bit to show that this is a special bonus track, but don't expect that on the as anything official. So here we go with the Lounge Edit by Generation X. So that was the mystery artist giving you the first taste of an upcoming spooky compilation. Sounds like it'll set some great moods at your Halloween parties on Zoom that you're gonna have to have this year, or maybe for when you're playing Among Us or some game that has.
That's a great idea. You're looking to be a spooky Among Us murderer.
Yeah, exactly.
We have the music for that.
So anyway, before we go here, I realized that I forgot to ask you about how the artworks for your album got created, because they're both pretty cool, I'd say. Although one of them, is by Lunitas, so that one obviously piques my attention a little more because he's been on the show and I'm a big fan. So yeah, why don't you just real quick let us know the story behind those two pieces?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. The Night Beach art. Originally, I believe, I'm in Georgia. I'm in like the middle of Atlanta, Georgia. That's my location. Whatever. But so there's not really any beaches near me where I was able to take a good photo. So there's really nothing I had. So a good friend, Filter, awesome, amazing artist, musician and visual artist in a way, yeah. And they were just heading to a beach near where they were, and they just happened to snap this photo. Just throw out the photo. I'm like, hey, how about we try and edit this up to kind of make it look like night, like an artificial night in a way, which is why it feels kind of, not like a real picture of a night, but it's like a vaporwave picture of a night because, it's kind of electronic in its photo. And so we managed to take the original one and kind of blew it and had the purples and everything.
And it really looks like it was taken with like a really early 2000s like flip cell phone camera. Super like JPEG, like 240p. It's
low quality kind of in its way.
Got that good lo-fi look, and it really matches the song title well. I think honestly, the way I see this whole album is it almost like reminds me of like a little ringtone like compilation on some like old broken like flip phone. Like it's got that like picture. It's like all you know about the previous owner. You've got like nightbeach.mp3 and it's got like these little
the MP3 on it, I guess.
Yeah.
It kind
That's
of
what
gives
it makes
you
me
that
think
vibe of like, you find this mysterious 2000 album about the beach and something on your flip phone.
Yeah.
That definitely kind of felt like the feel when we were going for it.
And then
amazing art from Lunitas.
Yes.
I believe that I probably said their name wrong too as well.
I think that's right.
Lunitas. Yeah, I commissioned them because they're this awesome artist, and I see their work everywhere. I'm like, yeah, that's great. They do a great job on everything they've ever done. Seriously, wonderful. And so
Can't disagree.
Like, why not? But I, gave them. I didn't really have much of an idea or like any music besides like the inspiration, which was actually something off ATMO, which was pretty funny. They had this other release. It was like the really popular one that Pat Jennington talked about, I believe, with the like weird photos. I don't remember the name, Echosphere or something. That's actually what inspired the idea. If you're wondering, it's that album. And I was going to contact ATMO. Side story, but I was going to contact ATMO about trying to get in touch with the artist. But then I kind of just like, well, there isn't really a better like label that would do well with this, and kind of just turned into ATMO being the label. But yeah, I sent over Lunitas, here's what it's probably going to sound like for the art. And I sent over that album, and then they come back with like this really kind of lush jungle, and then this awesome vaporwave statue in the background, flowing waterfall. It's really great.
So you're saying you mostly just gave him like the description of the sound, and they just came back with that? Wow. Yeah.
It was crazy.
That's
had
impressive.
Nothing. Like when I came to them, I don't think I even had like talked to anyone about doing a track yet. Like that's how early in production it was. And they just came out with this awesome art, and wow, it's still like it just like blew me away. Like, oh, this is wonderful.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I try not to sound too much like an advertisement on this show, but yeah, Lunitas is just so consistent and reliable with delivering high quality artwork for everything. So
Yeah.
super great that you were able to create something with them. But anyway, that brings us to the end of what we've got for tonight in terms of the music. So just want to thank everyone who stuck around with us for the whole show. And you can find more about Zoroarkfilms in the description. We've got his Twitter, where you've got he's got links to his other projects there. The record label, keep an eye out on that for all the new music coming from Zoroarkfilms. Unless you've also got a few partners you're working with, of course, for the physicals. That's Oasis Ltd. And what's the other one?
Civic Duty Records.
Yeah, so you can check those out as well if you're interested in more or owning Night Beach. Yeah.
Or CD.
Anything else that you want to shout out here at the end?
Anyone else want to shout out? Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I do want to shout out Filter, obviously, because they made they made the art for that track you saw on Spooky and the Night Beach art, and I want to thank them for being awesome. And I want to thank all those labels that you mentioned as well. Not to mention and all the artists for helping me, make this happen. Wouldn't be here without y'all. And I also want to shout out you, because you're awesome. Thank you for this.
Oh,
it's great.
You're so welcome. And I mean, I was actually already thinking about inviting you on the show before you made that tweet about wanting to do kind of a mix, like radio type thing. So it was just perfect timing. Everything worked out great.
Yeah.
I'm super we normally don't do these in the middle of the month, but I just thought, I didn't want to schedule you out so far. And yeah, I think it worked out great. So thanks a lot for putting this mix together and coming on and talking about Vaporwave
Thank you for
an hour.
This has been awesome.
And with that, just want to wish everyone here a luxurious night. And next week we'll have a normal show, and then we will have one more luxury mix at the end of the month, and it's going to be a big one. So stay tuned and have a